Hey yo, what's the deal with my favorite people? Those who don't miss an episode, the Chico Army. And if you're new and you want to join, watch this episode and subscribe, you viewer of the tube. My name is Tyler, the host of the crypto channel, whose content can put straight fear in your eyes. But don't worry, everything's gonna be alright. From exciting to terrifying to relief, it's time for Chico Crypto. Well, if you haven't noticed, Bitcoin has been bullish throughout the majority of this year. After the March apocalypse, BTC spent just 41 days in the range of 6K to 8K, from March 19th to April 28th. Then we spent a good amount of time, nearly twice as much, bouncing around the 8K to 10K range, from April 28th to July 26th, a total of 90 days then. And from July 26th to today, we have spent a total of 72 days in the 12K to 10K range, bouncing off the top of the range for half the time and bouncing off the bottom for half the time recently. Now, during each of these range cycles for Bitcoin, these pesky altcoins have been having their own cycles, which can clearly be seen in the Bitcoin dominance chart. During the 6K to 8K range for BTC in March and April, altcoin dominance slightly grew, but nothing significant. And then when BTC popped and blew through 8K resistance, initially altcoins took a big hit and dominance crashed. But by May 18th, the uptrend began for the rest of the time when Bitcoin was in the 8K to 10K range. As we can see, around July 26th, when BTC smashed through 10K resistance, initially altcoins got hit, but they recovered and pushed up, peaking in early September. Looking at the BTC price chart, that is when BTC was at 12K, the top of the range, and right before the dump. So it's obvious to me, altcoins, they are still trending upwards, but it doesn't matter which movement Bitcoin does, up or down. Any violent large moves hit altcoins initially, but as BTC settles into the range, altcoins, they start moving. BTC just in the middle of September had a big move from the middle of the range 11K to the bottom of the range again. Altcoins, they got hit, but as you can see, the upwards trend after as the price has been settling. And zooming in, you can see BTC has lost about 3% dominance points in the past couple of weeks, while altcoins have gained about that. So what this all means is don't count out the altcoins, the good ones though, because I'm sure many altcoin charts during the past 7 months look like this. Pumps during the season to new peaks, but then dumps right back down to where it was before the pump or even below. These are just a few examples, but if you look into the majority of charts for altcoins, it's the same story. So me, just like anyone would do, I started to cover altcoins during the alt season, but I was trying to identify the coins that weren't going to fall right back to where they were or below before all this started. Some of my picks did just that, and 100% of the coins I chose weren't immune to a hype cycle pump and dump, but a large majority of my recent picks have held some of their gains. And this is what you want to see in these wild swinging volatile crypto markets, especially if you have a strategy like mine of HODL. So let's look into those, and what's interesting is the common theme among them. So Chainlink, of course, it wasn't immune to a hype pump and dump, but since it is above where it was before this all began, it peaked at over $19 and is currently at $9.20. Brutal, but in May it was $3.58. That's still a 156% increase. How about another one that has moved significantly up into my portfolio, xDai? Of course, not immune to the hype cycle P&D, peaking at over $38. And right now, it's just over $15.79. But before this, xDai was at $1.78, still an increase of 787%. How about Energy Web, another I've been covering like mad, and a top in my portfolio. Not immune like the others, but not as brutal of a dump, peaking at nearly $13 and currently sitting at $7.40. But before this all, $1.92, an increase of 284%. Then you gotta speak of Kusama, my baby mama drama, as it's the same story. Hype cycle reaching a peak of over $58, but now it's sitting at about $35. Although before this all began in June, Kusama was at $5.57, an increase of 528%. And XOR, a big hype cycle with that one, getting nearly to $135. But as of right now, it's about 48 bucks. Although before this all in June, it was just 94 cents, just an increase of over 5,000%. Now these coins, these alts, are what I consider my blue chip altcoins, if you can say that about any altcoin, as any one is highly speculative. But these are the ones who have given me the biggest gains, and I still, after these gains, foresee long-term potential from every single one. So why Chainlink? Well, it's going to fully solve one of the biggest issues in crypto, the Oracle problem. A significant majority of financial dApps are already using their oracles. They created the next iteration of the ERC20, the ERC677, and it still has the big launch of staking on the horizon. They have deep ties in the crypto industry and beyond, a key player in the baseline protocol, connections to top university Cornell, Dr. Ari Jules, and their IC3, just acquiring a privacy-preserving oracle from them. And this is just to name a few of the things. There is a ton more, and when you go down the Chainlink rabbit hole, it stands out more than just a token. What about xDai? What puts it in a similar category? Well, just like Chainlink's trustless oracle is critical crypto infrastructure, bridges and an Ethereum staging network are too. xDai is moving full steam forward on that front. Gavin Wood of Polkdot put out an article in October of last year called Polkdot Substrate and Ethereum. And in it he says this in regards to bridging Polkadot and Ethereum. We will introduce a substrate to parity Ethereum POA bridge, very similar to our existing parity bridge that sits at the heart of the xDai chain. Regarding their chain, he says the Ethereum POA chain would use the fast or a consensus algorithm, or a slower instant finality PBFT based consensus, and benefit from the tried and tested parity Ethereum codebase. He said there, but he's not talking about building their own one, you guys. He's talking about xDai. Going to xDai documentation, they use the fast or a consensus, Gavin said. Aura stands for Authority Round. It is the underlying algorithm currently used by the xDai chain to ensure validators produce blocks in an honest and timely fashion. Gavin said maybe use an instant finality PBFT consensus, and look in xDai documentation. They are working on the Honey Badger BFT consensus. And look deeper into documentation. It provides instant finality. And then this is a big endorsement for xDai as the sister staging network for Ethereum. POAP, Proof of Attendance Protocol, tweeted POAP launches on Ethereum's sister chain, xDai chain. They called xDai Ethereum's sister chain, the same POAP Vitalik said to try scaling as an optimistic rollup, being the first to do it back in August, which POAP didn't. They chose xDai as optimism is not ready. xDai is becoming the staging network before our eyes, and it's not only Ethereum attendance NFT badges, but core Ethereum infrastructure, Ethereum name service, ENS. Ethereum domains are also looking at xDai for a scaling solution. What about Energy Web? Well, I'm sure you guys know my thoughts on their future. I've made countless videos diving into the array of deep partnerships they have across the energy sector and beyond. So, not going to beat a dead horse about what I've already covered, but this piece of info is key to realize the depth of this project. Grid Singularity, the company who developed D3A. What is D3A? The Decentralized Autonomous Area Agent, which creates a fractal model of how agents manage trading of energy assets and communication from devices up to them grouped in a building, to entire neighborhoods, substations, even regions, and entire grids. Well, I just found out from an original 2016 Grid Singularity PowerPoint presentation that Gavin Wood is actually on the team of Grid Singularity as a co-founder. As we can see, he is listed as number 4 in the category blockchain. So that fractal model of how the D3A builds on top of itself makes sense, since Polkdot scaling and parachains follow a similar structure. But the end of this year is going to be a bad frickin' buddy for EWT, because this is when the D3A is getting into people's hands. Launched Odyssey 2020, a major hackathon going down in November, put on by the European Union, in which they're putting 21 challenges to be built, which will shape the 21st century. And one of those is energy singularity. Let's click into it and learn more. Of course, it's between Grid Singularity and NG, the big energy player and one of the energy web's validator nodes. And what's being hacked on? Of course, the D3A. Now, so far, do you see what each of these have in common? They are crypto-based, but they have connections outside of the industry, although they also have something else in common. Polkdot. Chainlink and Polkdot, of course, are partnered together. xDai is building bridges using parity, and Energy Web will be their own relay chain based on Polkdot. So, of course, the canary network of Polkdot, Kusama, is going to be a blue chip altcoin of mine. So to realize Kusama's value, all you gotta do is understand what happened with the Ethereum Spadina testnet. Attackers were spoofing the network with deposits and not running nodes, since all you needed was free testnet Ethereum, which anyone can get. This caused major issues, as with proof of stake, you need something at stake to stop attacks like this. And Kusama is a live monetary consequential network for Polkdot, and anything big that's going on the dot will be going on Kusama first. For example, Chainlink. Prior to launching its parachain on Polkdot, Chainlink will deploy a parachain on Kusama. And Kusama is now ready for parachains. Wink, wink. Finally, let's talk about XOR, Sora Network from Soramitsu, as it blends nicely with my choices of deep crypto integrations, outside connections, and Polkdot. We of course know they're building PokeSwap, but I want to look into the deep crypto integrations because I think many people don't realize just how integrated they are with Polkdot. March 2019, they received a Web3 grant to implement the Polkdot runtime environment in C++, which they would term Kagam. As we can see from the Polkdot wiki, it's part of the tool index as a C++ client, and going to the GitHub of it and their workflow Kanban board updated just a few days ago, many tasks are done, some in progress and some to do. A good sign, especially with Polkdot currently going through live transition phases. What about outside connections? Well, Soramitsu is involved with a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. As we can see from the presentation from the National Bank of Cambodia, it's called Bakong, and it's being built in collab with KPMG, Deloitte, and of course Soramitsu. It had a very successful soft launch in which the Hyperledger posted about it in September of this year. And as we can see, Soramitsu's own Hyperledger Ihora is the core of it all. And by the way, that has a planned full public go live by the end of the year. Cheers, I'll see you next time.